Step into your garden on a crisp April morning. The air feels fresh, the sunlight is gentle, and everywhere you look, signs of new growth are beginning to appear. But here's a question many gardeners never ask. Why invest time and money replanting containers every single year when you could choose plants that return season after season? For many people, container gardening is treated as a temporary project. They fill pots with flowers in spring, enjoy them for a few months, and then start all over again the following year. But containers can be so much more than that. Imagine pots filled with plants that come back year after year, growing larger, stronger, and more beautiful with every season. Plants that provide reliable color, attract pollinators, and require far less work over time. Instead of constantly replacing them, you simply enjoy watching them mature. Today we'll explore 8 outstanding perennial plants that thrive in containers. They're perfect for April planting, ideal for patios, balconies, courtyards, and small gardens, and capable of bringing long-lasting beauty to your outdoor space. 1. Dianthus. Small size, big personality. Dianthus is proof that a plant doesn't need to be large to make a lasting impression. In fact, some of the most memorable container displays come from plants that remain compact while offering exceptional detail and charm. At first glance, Dianthus appears delicate and refined. Its flowers feature beautifully fringed petals, often with finely serrated edges that create an almost lace-like appearance. The color range is equally impressive, including soft pinks, crisp whites, deep reds, and eye-catching bicolor combinations. However, the real magic of Dianthus becomes apparent when you get closer. Many varieties produce a pleasant fragrance with subtle spicy and clove-like notes. As temperatures warm throughout the day, the scent becomes more noticeable, creating an atmosphere that feels welcoming and relaxing without ever becoming overpowering. One reason Dianthus performs so well in containers is its naturally tidy growth habit. The plant forms neat, cushion-like mounds that fit comfortably into pots, window boxes, and planters. It provides structure and fullness without overwhelming neighboring plants. Its versatility makes it useful in many different container arrangements. You can use it to soften the edges of larger displays, fill open spaces between taller plants, or allow it to serve as the main attraction in smaller containers. Regardless of how it's used, Dianthus brings a polished and cohesive look to any planting design. Another major advantage is its early flowering period. When planted in April, Dianthus settles in quickly and often begins blooming by late spring, providing color while many other perennials are still establishing themselves. And the show rarely ends after the first bloom cycle. With a light trim once flowering slows, many varieties respond by producing a second flush of flowers later in the season. This repeat performance makes Dianthus far more rewarding than many plants that bloom only once. Container conditions suit it perfectly. It thrives in full sun, appreciates well-drained soil, and performs best with moderate watering. Since containers allow gardeners to manage drainage effectively, Dianthus often grows even better in pots than it does in traditional garden beds. It's also surprisingly resilient. While many flowering plants struggle with cool spring weather, Dianthus tolerates light frosts and fluctuating temperatures remarkably well. Despite its elegant appearance, it's a durable and dependable plant that rarely suffers from serious pest problems and requires very little feeding once established. Pollinators appreciate it too. Small bees and butterflies regularly visit the flowers, bringing movement and life to patios, balconies, and garden spaces. As the years pass, the plants become denser and more impressive, creating a reliable source of color and fragrance. Compact, attractive, easy to grow, and wonderfully dependable, Dianthus is one of the finest perennial choices for container gardening. 2. Gaillardia, a burst of color that never quits. If Dianthus represents subtle elegance, Gaillardia delivers pure energy. Often called blanket flower, Gaillardia is impossible to overlook. Its vibrant blooms combine fiery shades of red, orange, gold, and yellow, frequently blending several colors within a single flower. Many blossoms feature striking rings, gradients, and patterns that appear hand-painted by nature. From a distance, Gaillardia creates a warm glow throughout the garden. Up close, the intricate color combinations become even more impressive. Yet beauty is only part of the story. Gaillardia is remarkably tough. Hot sun, dry conditions, and challenging growing environments that would stress many other plants are exactly what this perennial enjoys most. This makes it particularly well suited to containers placed on sunny patios, balconies, terraces, and other exposed locations where temperatures can become intense during summer. Once established, the plant requires surprisingly little attention. Its root system adapts well to periods of dryness, while its foliage helps conserve moisture. Even if watering is occasionally inconsistent, Gaillardia continues to perform reliably. Its flowering habit is equally impressive. Once blooming begins in early summer, the plant produces flowers continuously for months. New blooms constantly replace old ones, creating an almost uninterrupted display that often lasts until autumn. Although removing spent flowers can encourage additional blooming, the plant remains productive even with minimal maintenance. It simply keeps flowering. Unlike many ornamentals, Gaillardia does not demand rich soil, constant feeding, or frequent watering. In fact, excessive care can sometimes reduce performance. It tends to thrive when allowed to grow naturally. Pollinators love it. Bees regularly visit the blooms, and butterflies often pause to feed among the brightly colored flowers, adding motion and vitality to the garden. Its versatility in container design is another major advantage. Gaillardia works beautifully as a focal point, pairs well with ornamental grasses and silvery foliage plants, and combines effectively with trailing species that soften the edges of containers. Its upright growth habit adds structure, while its abundance of flowers creates movement and excitement. Perhaps most importantly, Gaillardia changes the atmosphere of a space. It brings warmth, energy, and the feeling of summer in full bloom. As the plant matures, it becomes even more spectacular, producing increasing numbers of stems and flowers each year. For gardeners seeking a perennial that loves heat, blooms relentlessly, attracts pollinators, and asks for very little in return, Gaillardia remains one of the best choices available. 3. Coneflower, the tough, reliable magnet for pollinators. Coneflower is the kind of plant that quietly earns a permanent place in your garden. It asks for very little, gives back a tremendous amount, and seems to become more impressive with every passing season. Its flowers are instantly recognizable. Large petals radiate outward around a prominent cone-shaped center, creating a look that is both familiar and distinctive. The blooms rise above the foliage on strong, upright stems, giving the plant a presence that feels natural yet commanding. While traditional varieties are known for their shades of purple and pink, modern selections offer an impressive palette that includes white, orange, yellow, coral, and even green-toned flowers. But beauty is only part of its appeal. Coneflower is remarkably resilient. It performs well in poor soils, tolerates intense summer heat, and once established, handles periods of drought with surprising ease. This makes it an excellent choice for containers positioned in sunny locations, where watering may occasionally be less than perfect. Its flowering season is another major advantage. Beginning in early summer and often continuing until autumn, coneflower produces a long succession of blooms that keep containers colorful for months. During this time, the plant becomes a hub of activity. Bees are drawn to the raised centers, butterflies visit regularly, and later in the season, birds arrive to feed on the seeds. Rather than simply adding color, coneflower helps create a miniature ecosystem right on your patio or balcony. Maintenance requirements are refreshingly low. It rarely suffers from serious pest problems, requires minimal feeding, and continues to thrive even when neglected. Its adaptability and reliability make it one of the easiest perennials to grow successfully. And as the years pass, it only becomes better. Each season brings more stems, more flowers, and a fuller, more impressive display. The plant matures into a stronger and more rewarding feature with every passing year. For gardeners seeking a perennial that combines beauty, durability, and exceptional value for pollinators, coneflower remains one of the smartest additions to any container garden. 4. Black-eyed Susan, a bright burst of summer energy. If you want containers that feel cheerful, vibrant, and full of life, Black-eyed Susan is an outstanding choice. Few flowers are as instantly recognizable. Its glowing golden yellow petals surround a dark central cone, creating a bold contrast that immediately captures attention. The effect is simple yet remarkably powerful. There is something unmistakably summery about Black-eyed Susan. Its bright flowers bring warmth and energy wherever they bloom, creating displays that feel welcoming and full of optimism. One of the plant's greatest strengths is its extended flowering season. Once blooming begins in early or midsummer, fresh flowers continue appearing for months, often lasting well into autumn. For container gardeners, this means a continuous display of color without the need to replace plants throughout the season. The plant is also highly adaptable. It flourishes in full sun, tolerates heat exceptionally well, and continues performing even during dry periods. Because it doesn't require perfect soil conditions, it is particularly well suited to containers placed in sunny, exposed locations. Like coneflower, black-eyed Susan contributes significantly to garden ecology. Its nectar-rich flowers attract bees, butterflies, and other beneficial insects, bringing constant activity and movement to patios, balconies, and garden spaces. Even after the blooms begin fading, the plant continues to offer visual interest. Its seed heads add texture and structure to container arrangements, while also providing a valuable food source for birds as cooler weather approaches. From a design perspective, black-eyed Susan is remarkably versatile. It can serve as a striking focal point, function as a taller background plant, or be combined with softer foliage and trailing plants to create contrast and depth. Its upright growth habit provides structure, while its bright flowers anchor the entire arrangement visually. Perhaps best of all, it remains wonderfully easy to grow. It does not require constant maintenance, complicated feeding schedules, or excessive pruning. Once established, it rewards gardeners with reliable performance year after year. Bright, dependable, and effortlessly cheerful, black-eyed Susan is everything a container perennial should be. 5. Lavender, the timeless combination of fragrance and structure. Few plants can transform a simple container into something elegant and relaxing, quite like lavender. From the moment it is planted, lavender introduces a sense of order and balance. Its silvery green foliage forms a soft, textured base, while upright spikes of purple flowers rise above it, adding both height and movement. The overall effect feels refined, natural, and effortlessly beautiful. Lavender instantly brings a Mediterranean character to any outdoor space. Even a single container can create the atmosphere of a sunny courtyard or peaceful garden retreat, making the surrounding area feel calmer and more inviting. April is one of the best times to plant it. As soil temperatures begin to rise and spring weather remains mild, the plant has an opportunity to establish a strong root system before summer heat arrives. Containers are particularly beneficial for lavender because they allow gardeners to control one of the plant's most important requirements: drainage. In traditional garden beds, lavender can struggle in heavy or poorly drained soil. Excess moisture around the roots often causes problems. In containers, however, you can create the well-draining conditions that lavender prefers. Once planted in suitable soil and given plenty of sunlight, lavender becomes exceptionally dependable. It produces abundant flowers, healthy growth, and the unmistakable fragrance that has made it one of the most beloved garden plants in the world. Its low-maintenance nature adds to its appeal. Lavender prefers moderate watering, rarely suffers from significant pest issues, and generally requires little feeding. In fact, too much fertilizer or excessive attention can actually reduce its performance. This is a plant that often thrives when left largely undisturbed. As it matures, it becomes increasingly attractive. Each year brings additional stems, larger floral displays, and a more defined shape. Light pruning after flowering helps maintain its structure and may even encourage a second round of blooms. Yet lavender offers something that many flowering plants cannot. It creates an experience. A gentle brush against the foliage releases its calming scent into the air. On warm afternoons, the fragrance drifts through the garden, creating an atmosphere that feels peaceful and restorative. It appeals not only to the eye, but also to the senses. Pollinators appreciate it just as much. Bees are especially fond of lavender flowers and can often be seen moving from bloom to bloom throughout the day. Butterflies also visit regularly, adding additional beauty and motion. Even outside its flowering period, lavender remains valuable. In many climates, its evergreen foliage continues providing structure and visual interest throughout much of the year. Its versatility in container design is another reason for its popularity. Lavender works beautifully as a standalone centerpiece, alongside trailing herbs such as thyme, combined with Mediterranean favorites like rosemary and sage, or incorporated into minimalist designs where structure and texture take center stage. No matter how it is used, lavender retains its unique character. It is more than a plant. It is fragrance, texture, movement, beauty, and atmosphere combined into one timeless perennial that transforms any container into a place worth lingering in. 6. Heuchera, the foliage star that brings containers to life. If lavender provides structure and fragrance, Heuchera contributes something entirely different: rich color, texture, and visual depth that lasts throughout the year. Among container perennials, few plants can rival the impact of Heuchera's foliage. Unlike many garden favorites that rely heavily on flowers for their appeal, Heuchera captures attention through its leaves alone. The foliage is bold, beautifully textured, and available in an extraordinary range of colors that remain attractive long after flowering has ended. The variety is truly impressive. Some cultivars feature deep burgundy leaves so dark they appear almost black. Others display vibrant lime green foliage that seems to illuminate shaded corners. You'll also find silver-toned varieties that reflect light beautifully, warm caramel and copper shades, and intricate patterns of veining that add another layer of interest. Because of this remarkable diversity, Heuchera provides visual value throughout the entire growing season. Even when flowers are absent, the foliage remains an important design element, serving as a focal point within container arrangements. April is an excellent time to plant it. Cool spring temperatures allow roots to establish comfortably before summer heat arrives. Once settled, Heuchera develops into a tidy, rounded mound that remains compact and well-behaved, making it suitable for containers of virtually any size. It performs particularly well in partial shade and full shade, making it one of the best choices for patios, balconies, and garden spaces that receive limited direct sunlight. However, it is more adaptable than many gardeners realize. Certain varieties tolerate gentle morning sun, especially in cooler regions. It also handles fluctuating temperatures remarkably well, including chilly spring nights and light frosts, making it a dependable performer throughout the season. When flowering begins, Heuchera reveals another side of its beauty. Delicate stems rise above the foliage, carrying clusters of tiny bell-shaped flowers that seem to float effortlessly in the air. These airy blooms create a beautiful contrast against the dense foliage below. They also serve an ecological purpose. Bees are naturally attracted to the flowers, and in some regions, hummingbirds visit them as well, particularly when other nectar sources are scarce. From a design perspective, Heuchera is exceptionally versatile. It can serve as a colorful foundation beneath taller plants, act as a filler that unifies different elements within a container, or take center stage in arrangements that emphasize foliage over flowers. It pairs particularly well with ferns, hostas, ornamental grasses, and flowering perennials that benefit from a strong backdrop of color and texture. Maintenance requirements are refreshingly simple. There's no need for constant pruning or intensive feeding schedules. Removing occasional damaged or aging leaves is usually enough to keep the plant looking its best. As the years pass, it gradually expands into a fuller and more established specimen without becoming invasive or difficult to control. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about Heuchera is how effortlessly it enhances everything around it. It doesn't dominate the design. Instead, it enriches surrounding colors, softens transitions, and adds depth in a way that feels entirely natural. It's the kind of plant that quietly elevates an entire container garden, making every arrangement look more refined and thoughtfully designed. 7. Salvia, the flowering powerhouse that never stops giving. If your goal is to create a container garden that feels vibrant and full of life, salvia is difficult to beat. This is more than a flowering perennial. It's a continuous source of color, movement, and wildlife activity. The moment salvia begins blooming, your garden changes. Bees quickly arrive, moving from flower spike to flower spike. Butterflies follow, hovering gracefully among the blossoms. In suitable climates, hummingbirds may also appear, darting between flowers with astonishing speed and precision. A once quiet space suddenly becomes alive with motion and energy. Its visual appeal is equally impressive. Salvia produces elegant flower spikes that rise above the foliage, introducing vertical structure and height to container arrangements. Available in rich shades of purple, red, pink, blue, and violet, it offers endless possibilities for both bold and subtle color schemes. April provides ideal planting conditions. As the soil begins warming and temperatures remain mild, salvia establishes a strong root system that prepares it for months of vigorous growth and flowering. and once the blooming season begins, it seems almost endless. Fresh flowers appear continuously from late spring through autumn. As older blooms fade, new ones quickly replace them, maintaining a nearly uninterrupted display for months. A little maintenance makes it even more productive. Removing spent flower spikes encourages rapid regrowth and stimulates another round of blooming. The process is simple. The more you deadhead, the more flowers the plant produces. Unlike some perennials that slow down after pruning, salvia responds enthusiastically. New stems emerge, branching increases, and flowering becomes even more abundant. Over time, a single plant can develop into a lush, flower-filled centerpiece. Its durability is another major advantage. Salvia thrives in full sun, tolerates intense summer heat, and handles dry periods far better than many flowering plants. It performs well without rich soil and requires only modest feeding, making it an excellent choice for container gardening. Even during the hottest weeks of summer, when many plants begin to fade, salvia continues producing flowers with remarkable consistency. It's dependable, resilient, and incredibly rewarding. Within container designs, it serves multiple purposes. It can add height, create focal points, provide contrast against trailing plants, and help establish balance within the overall composition. Its upright growth offers structure without feeling stiff, while its vibrant colors energize the entire arrangement. Yet what truly makes salvia special is the experience it creates. You don't simply admire it, you observe it. The constant movement of pollinators, the gentle hum of bees, and the flashes of butterfly wings bring an interactive quality that few plants can match. For gardeners seeking non-stop color, wildlife value, and exceptional reliability, salvia is one of the most rewarding perennials available. 8. Hosta, the master of shade and elegant structure. If salvia fills the garden with activity and energy, hosta introduces tranquility, balance, and a sense of permanence. Few plants transform shaded spaces as effectively. Hosta excels at turning overlooked corners into lush, inviting areas filled with texture and visual depth. Its appeal begins with its magnificent foliage. Large, layered leaves create an immediate feeling of abundance and maturity. Even a single specimen can dramatically alter the appearance of a container, making it feel fuller and more established. The variety of foliage colors and patterns is extensive. Some varieties feature deep green leaves that create a classic, grounded appearance. Others display blue-green tones with a cool, elegant finish. Variegated cultivars combine greens with white, cream, or golden edges, while some offer dramatic patterns that introduce contrast and visual interest. Each selection creates its own distinct mood and character. Spring is the ideal time for planting. Cool temperatures allow hostas to establish strong roots before the arrival of summer heat. By the time warm weather arrives, they are fully prepared for vigorous growth. Once established, hostas are remarkably dependable. They thrive in partial shade and full shade, conditions where many other perennials struggle. This makes them ideal for balconies, patios, courtyards, and garden spaces with limited direct sunlight. Containers also provide excellent control over moisture levels, which hostas appreciate. They prefer consistently moist but well-drained soil, and pots make it easier to maintain those conditions. As the years pass, hostas gradually develop into dense, impressive clumps. Their expanding foliage creates a lush, almost sculptural effect that adds depth and sophistication to container displays. Another benefit is their ability to be divided. When mature plants become too large, they can be separated into multiple new specimens, allowing gardeners to expand their collection without additional cost. From a design standpoint, hostas are extremely flexible. They work beautifully as standalone statement plants, alongside ferns for a woodland-inspired look, paired with heuchera for color contrast, or combined with other shade-loving perennials. Their foliage provides stability and visual grounding to any arrangement. Although leaves are the main attraction, the flowers offer an additional layer of beauty. During summer, tall stems emerge above the foliage carrying elegant lavender or white blooms. These flowers add height and softness while attracting bees and other pollinators. Perhaps the greatest gift hosta provides is atmosphere. It softens hard edges, fills empty spaces, and creates a sense of calm that few plants can match. Rather than competing for attention, it quietly improves everything around it. For gardeners seeking texture, structure, and enduring beauty in shaded container gardens, hosta remains one of the finest perennial choices available.